Now, we're going to talk about a gentleman who's even a bit older than you. There's a report that Pat McAfee and Vince McMahon will have a match at WrestleMania. Vince is 76 years old. They haven't announced anything yet. I think Vince is going to be on Pat's radio show this week. But Vince in the ring at 76, that seems almost impossible to believe.
No, it does not even know. He's fit as can be. I'm sure right now, and I would be remiss to say, I bet he can still squat between 450 and 500
Wow.
and leg press a lot. I don't know if he does squats. I know he does heavy leg presses. He probably can bench press. I bet right now, I haven't talked to him about training for a while, but I bet he can, there's not a day of the week he can't bench press 300 pounds.
So you're not concerned about him having problems physically, whether cardio, hurting, breaking something. You're not concerned about him in the ring at age 76.
You know, he lives, um, well, first of all, I think it's great that he's doing it. Number 2, he's making a statement for all of us that are older. Um, I actually, as I've said to you before, I could wrestle right now too, but I've got blood thinners as a result of that blood clot. So that kind of eliminates me from wrestling. I mean, I can get off him for a couple of days if I had to get in shape, but I would never look as good as he does. Since I was sick, my physique is just zero. But Vince is always in immaculate shape, and Pat McAfee's a hell of an athlete. As I said before, Pat McAfee can work. That NXT match, I still can't get over. So I think with Vince and Pat, it would be. I know I'll watch it. I'll be excited.
No, I'm excited for it as well. I can't help but wonder, though, and maybe this is the best path for it to travel. Maybe it becomes a tag match, Nate. Maybe it winds up being Pat McAfee and Steve Austin against Vince McMahon and, I don't know, Kevin Owens, maybe Austin Theory, who was Vince's protege on TV. I think a tag match might be the way to go because that way Austin, who hasn't worked in years, has kind of a limited duty as well.
It could be. I don't know. I mean, I probably could ask and find out, but I kind of am excited. I'm watching the show each week. I watch all the shows, and I think the buildup is great. I think WrestleMania is going to be huge. You and I will be out there, Mark, for all 4 days. I'm signing autographs at WrestleCon on Friday and Saturday, and then you and I have the podcast Friday night at Fishbones, and then we have that big signing on Sunday afternoon.
Now, as you mentioned, Pat McAfee has had a couple wrestling matches. He did a War Games in NXT.
Mhm.
He had a singles match with Adam Cole, and both those matches were really quite amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm shocked. Yeah, he made a lot of the rest of the talent take notice. That's a kind way of putting it.
Well, yeah, I think so too, but it's important to note not just anybody could step in there and do that.
Absolutely not. If they could, where are they?
Well, that's right.
Why wouldn't if you can make $1 million or make 2 or 3, which I'm sure they're gonna pay Pat, maybe it's 3, who knows? Then do it. Show us. Quit talking about it at home. Quit hiding behind some bullshit name and don't say you could do it. And don't be critical of what they're doing. Do it.
No, I agree. And, I've always kidded Pat his whole career because I always say he's only a punter, but he's a pretty good athlete for a punter. He's
Hell
got the
yes,
size. He's
hell
got
yes, he is.
he's got the look too. And Pat has that wrestling attitude, doesn't he?
He's also got the interview skills. I love it. Yeah, Pat could be right in the business right now and be, I would say, fairly successful, if not real successful.
I think he could. I'll go one step further. I think if he did it all the time as opposed to announcing, I think he could be a top guy before too long.
Well, I'd have to see that. I'd have to see him wrestle a guy like Orton or AJ Styles first. But I think I'll have no problem saying he's a hell of an athlete, and he's very entertaining. He's great on the mic. He brings a huge amount of energy to the show. I love him.
Now, you had a street fight with Vince McMahon in 2008. What was that like? I seem to recall that going pretty good. I saw some highlights on YouTube. It was fine. It was good.
That was horrible.
You think so?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. I remember I went there, um, with the idea that I would never wrestle. I was guaranteed I'd never wrestle. And Mark, I had no self confidence. It was horrible.
Oh man, you've always been your own worst critic, but I disagree. I thought it was all right. I mean, that was a career threatening match. That was part of the last run, right?
No, 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 that's way before that started. That I 90 I the 2000 we did that at Royal Rumble in 2002, and, that career-ending, thing started in 2008.
But you wrestled Vince during the career ending thing, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, yes.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That was pretty
Oh,
good.
that match.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that was better, yes.
I mean, what's
Yeah.
it like being in there with the boss, a guy who knows more about wrestling than anybody, doesn't often wrestle, he's always acquitted himself well, you're the best of all time. How do you prepare for that match? What do you talk about with him? Give me some background on that one.
Well, it's just a thrill for me. I mean, I don't take anything I didn't take anything for granted back then because everything that was given me was a gift. He's fearless. I mean, it's not like you're talking to a kid that's never been in a ring. He's fearless. He said, "Hit me as hard as you can." Then I jumped off the top rope onto the table on him. So, who knows? It was great for me. I mean, I think he enjoyed it. He always told me he did. So, it's hard to believe that he was thrilled to work with me, but I was thrilled to be working with him, obviously. My God, that was one of the most unique things I think you'll ever see happen to an older wrestler on the way out, to have that streak that I had where, I mean, and I think people watched it too, but I remember the ratings were always good, and it was fun, and, anytime you get involved in a storyline that he has any part of, it's always gonna be the main event level of a storyline.
Well, his track record in that regard speaks for itself. I mean, for years on camera, he was quote unquote just an announcer.
Yeah,
And then he became the first evil owner. He should have been the last evil owner because that's the only time it's really, really worked. And his feud with Austin changed the business. That took the momentum away from WCW and really reestablished WWE as number one again, didn't it?
absolutely. Oh my God. I mean, I sat there and watched it, I cringed because I knew, I when if you know Vince, you know he's not going down. He's not gonna go down easy, so he cinched it up. Steve came along at the right time, and I can't imagine, I mean, I could never imagine him getting beat. I mean, I never thought for a second Vince would give up, and they didn't, and, you know, the arrogance the arrogance of the WCW crowd, the arrogance of the management didn't realize who they were talking to by any means.
Now, one last thing about Pat McAfee before we move on. I mean, we've talked about him in the wrestling ring. We've talked about him as an announcer, but he has a very highly regarded radio show that just signed a $120 million deal with an online sports book. He really is a phenomenon, isn't he?
Yeah, I did not know about that. I have listened to his podcast a couple of times. I'm a big fan of Barry Rogers, as you know, but I didn't know about that. No, but I'm happy for him. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Well, I got to tell you, here's what tell you all you need to know about Pat. And I've known Pat since he was in high school because when I coached hockey, I coached a few kids that were in high school with him at Plum High School, and he used to come to the games. And Pat brought all those guys along that he went to high school with to work his show with him. And when he got that big deal with the sports book, he gave them each $250,000 catch, every one of them.
Well, that's fantastic. Wow. Well, I know he flies private. I like that.
That's a big deal for you, isn't it? If you fly private, you're in the nature's class, aren't you?
I flew private Saturday to a signing in Jacksonville. You think I'm getting up for my birthday party and driving 250 miles? You're crazy.